Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Repair University, and on today's episode, we are tearing into this HTW series Hotpoint Washer. Let's get to it. First off, you're gonna need a 1/4 inch nut driver, and we're gonna start off at the panel, the UI board right here. And we're gonna go ahead and start removing our screws. We have a screw to the left. And then we have a screw to the right. And typically you have a back metal panel here. We are missing that on this particular machine. No big deal, because once you remove these 2 screws, that panel you would lift forward and slide over to your right or left to remove it. Super, super easy. Let's keep going forward. Okay, now that that's removed, we want to remove the UI panel here. And to do so, we're going to slide it back with your 2 hands, just like that, and flip it up and over. And we have various connections here at the control board, and we're gonna go through with a bunch of pinch connections and start removing them. And as I'm removing them, I wanna talk about this control board. These control boards are pretty stout on these machines, but they can fail periodically. It can happen. And you will have all kinds of weird issues where the machine's just not doing what it's supposed to. You're getting some super weird codes or just not working in general. When that happens, this control board just needs to be replaced. And let's go ahead and remove the control board while we're here, and I'll show you guys how to do that. These pinch connections came off really easy. You do have a Diagnostics port here. With your thumb or finger, they have this little release tab. You push forward, and that diagnostic port comes undone from the UI panel. Okay, once again here with the 1/4 inch driver, we're gonna remove this control board from the panel. You've got a few 1/4 inch screws. We're gonna go through removing them. One of the easier machines to replace a control board on are gonna be these HTWs. Okay. Okay, pull this off carefully. And also don't forget to pull the knob off the front. Just simply pull it off. And now that control board has come off the UI panel. And take a look at it. We got plenty of capacitors and all kinds of stuff. Fill level transducer right here, and an inverter. These things can fail, relays, inverters, capacitors. And when that goes bad, you might be able to replace the components individually, but if you're not good at soldering or desoldering, simply replace the control board. Okay, let me set that to the side. Grab our UI panel here, set it also to the side. Let's keep moving forward. Okay, so on this machine, we have a motor capacitor. Motor capacitors on these machines are pretty stout, but they can fail. Do remember when working on this machine, they can hold a charge and electrocute you. So be really careful, pull off the leads carefully. Try not to touch this with your bare hands because they could electrocute you, like I said. It does hold a charge. When these go bad, you also lose power, proper power to the motor. Like I said, they're pretty stout, very rare that they fail on this machine, but they can. When that happens, replace with an OEM capacitor. Okay, let's keep moving forward here. Now we have our water inlet valve. These do fail on this machine in a very strange way. You'll have an issue where you have a constant drip down into the basket, constant drip of water. And that's a very common failure on these inlet valves because inside they have a plunger, and that plunger rubber hardens and no longer creates a proper seal. So when that happens, replace with an OEM water inlet valve. Let's go ahead and remove it as well. We have 2 1/4 inch screws. Remove them. Stick the screw to the side, grab it, tilt forward, and pull it straight out. That is your water inlet valve. When it goes bad and you hear that constant drip, 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 or no water flow anymore, just replace it. Simple as that. Okay, let's keep moving forward. We want to get the whole top end off this washer. To do so, we do have a grounding screw here with a grounding wire. This needs to be removed first. All right. And now you have your wire harness holder to the top portion here. Go ahead and grab that firmly and slide backwards. Okay. Also, we do have 2/4-inch long screws holding down the whole top end on the backside. They're super long screws. Go ahead and remove them as well. We want to gain access to the top end here because I want to show you guys the lid lock, and how to remove that as well. Just be patient with these screws. They're super, super long and they're really fine thread. Okay. Here we go. And check this out right here. This is your wiring harness for your lid lock. And since we're gonna be removing it, I wanna show you guys how to do so. You have this holder right here. You squeeze it with your fingers and bring that straight down. Now, what I like to do on these is lift it from the backside. You do have 2 retaining clips at the front. Just undo it like that, okay? And now the whole top end is loose. And here is gaining access to your lid lock. We are missing the bezel on this machine, no big deal, because you could typically remove the bezel and you have 2 clips at the back and you just basically bring it forward, bring it to the side, and it undoes the bezel. But we are missing it in this case. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. Okay, to remove this lid lock, we're gonna grab ourselves a little pick right here, and we do have this little release tab right here that we wanna push down on, slide it to the left, and walk that lid lock right out of there. Let's go ahead and talk about this lid lock. You will know it has gone bad when you're hearing a bunch of click, 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 and the machine will not engage because it can no longer lock the lid and it will not register and it will not start a load. When that happens, or you get no locking at all, it's time to replace the lid lock. And you also want to inspect the striker to make sure the striker is not damaged. Okay, let's go ahead. You've got some holders right here for your wiring harness. Just unclip it. And now you also have another little holder right here. Stick a pick in it or a small standard screwdriver. Go ahead and undo that. You have a secondary right here. Go ahead and undo that. And you're gonna walk the lid lock right out of there. Replace it with an OEM unit when it does fail. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Let's grab our lid, get it out of the way. Okay, I want you guys to be aware of this. Once you remove the whole top end, these retaining clips at the front always come undone. Really, really easy to put back into place. Squeeze it. You could grab some pliers if you need to. In this case, I might have to. I didn't grab my pliers. There you go. You kind of squeeze it and put it back into place. That's gonna happen, that's normal, don't worry about it. Just don't forget to put them back in. Okay, let's move forward and turn down this machine. Now the splash guard right here needs to be removed because we are going to lift the whole basket out of there. To do so, you have a bunch of holders here. Lift with your fingers, pull up slightly, lift, pull up slightly. We're gonna go all the way around, undoing this splash guard. It needs to come out of the way. Stick it off to the side. Okay, now we need to remove the agitator to gain access to the nut. We have a softener cup right here. Go ahead and grab that firmly and lift it up out of there. Get that softener cup right out of the way. Okay, this is super, super important. I want to bring this up on this particular machine. Now we have a 11mm bolt at the bottom. Do not, and I mean do not, run an impact driver of any sort on that bolt because I promise you, you will probably snap it. It's a very small bolt. So you're definitely gonna wanna grab an extension, 11mm, and a ratchet to do this job. Strongly recommended. Get down in there, and it's gonna be pretty tight. It's gonna fight you, and you're basically gonna grab your agitator, and if you need more leverage, you might even have to basically have someone help you hold everything in place while you unloosen it. So go ahead And we're gonna walk that bolt carefully out of there. Okay, this one wasn't very tight, and they're known to snap, so be very careful, like I said. Do this by hand, please, with a ratchet and extension. Okay. Now, luckily, this agitator is very easy to remove once that bolt has been removed. Just lift it right out of there. Super easy. Okay, next up, if we look down in there, we have a large nut. That's a 1 5/16. And we're gonna, for that job, it's gonna be reverse thread. You're gonna want a very deep well 1 5/16 socket. You can find these online. You can find them at your appliance repair places, stores and all that. So here we go. That nut down there, like I said, 1 5/16 is reverse thread, meaning that to loosen it, we are gonna tighten it. Make that make sense, but here we go. Let's get down in there. It's gonna be loud. And we walked that nut right out of there. For this job, like I said, strongly recommend that you use an impact driver. And here we go. Next step, we're gonna remove the whole basket out of here. To do so, 2 hands, stand firmly. It could be a little bit heavy. Go ahead and lift it right out of there. 4 cubic foot tub right here. And we're gonna stick it to the side. One of the main reasons why you want to take your machine apart also, keep in mind, is after many years of use, you get a lot of softener, crud buildup, and what have you. So it's a good idea to get down in there, take it apart every few years, and go ahead and clean your tub and your basket, because like I said, they get a lot of mold, buildup, old softener. In this case, this one does look pretty clean. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Next up, I want to show you all how to remove the suspension rods from this machine. Let's get started. So pretty easy. You're going to grab this metal rod very, very firmly, and we are going to lift up, and you got this little cup right here. We're going to turn it to where it frees that little hook there. You got a little slot. Okay. Drop the suspension rod down, and you got a little slot at the bottom, and walk it right out of there. Now let's talk about the suspension rods. GE Hotpoint did a good job at making very, very good suspension rods, and they work off pneumatic pressure, meaning you have a spring, you have a bore, and your piston. Now they do fail, and when that happens, just please replace with an OEM suspension rod. You know when they go bad, when you compress it, and you should be hearing a swooshing sound. If you no longer hear that swooshing sound, this is time to be replaced with OEM unit. Okay, let's go ahead and lift. Okay. We'll go around removing all of them. Okay. And let me tell you, with that basket up out of there, it's not very heavy. That basket has a lot of weight to it. Okay, next up, I want to lay the machine down on its backside, because we're going to start disassembling the bottom end and all the components on the bottom. Okay, here we go. Okay, now we have gained access to the bottom of the washer. And what do we see here? We see a few suspension rods that still need to get out of there. Okay, cool. Okay, let's do a little parts breakdown before we start disassembling. What do we have here to the right? We have a drain pump. This drains all the water out of the washer. Now we also have a shift actuator. This enters the machine into spin or agitation via this motor. And then we also have our drive belt. We have our actual gear case. Motor to the left with a speed sensor on the motor. So first off, I want to go ahead and walk the belt off. We're going to walk it off, grab it, and pull it right off. Now on these machines, it will be very, very common to see oil around this area, and a little bit of oil is fine. That's a factory error. They overfilled them from the factory. When you see that, don't be too concerned, as long as that oil is not mixed in with water. If you see oil and water mixture, it is time to replace this gear case. Now also, very common failure are going to be these belts. These belts stretch over time, their grooves wear out, they start slipping, causing all kinds of issues. When that happens, replace the belt with an OEM unit. Okay, now I want to go ahead first by removing the motor. You got pinch connections here. Grab it firmly. It might wrestle and fight with you a little bit. Okay, that one's undone. That runs to the actual motor itself. Next up is gonna be the speed sensor on the motor. That little red tab needs to be slid over to the left. This one is very, very difficult to remove. Some pliers, long nose pliers, might assist you. Get in there carefully, and then go ahead and squeeze the connection and pull it straight out. Be really careful because it can be very difficult. Okay, so next up, we want to remove the motor. To do so, I do recommend a 1/2-inch socket with a 1/4-inch ratchet right here. We'll go ahead, get up on there. We have 2 bolts that hold the motor in place to the gear case. Go ahead, work on the bottom. Always a good idea to get the bottom one off first. It'll make things a lot easier. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Also, an impact driver is not a bad idea, but when you're retightening things, it's probably good to do with a ratchet. Okay, we'll go ahead, ratchet the bolts right out of there. Like I said, 1/2-inch socket. Okay, pull the motor carefully out of there. Now I want to talk about the motor. The motors are pretty robust. You see this pulley here, the pulley on the motor, these grooves can wear out from time to time. When that happens, you could either replace the pulley or replace the whole motor. Also, windings can wear out, weaken. When that happens, nothing will happen at all with the washer. It won't wash, it won't spin, none of that. The motor will be super, super hot to the touch. Just go ahead and replace it with an OEM unit. Also, finally, you do have a speed sensor on the motor. Speed sensor, what could happen is every now and then the belt could snap and tear and it'll wipe out, it'll get wrapped up in here and wipe out the speed sensor. If that happens, these speed sensors are replaceable. So go ahead and replace the speed sensor, and to do so, you do have to remove the pulley. Let's put this off to the side. Okay, next up, we do have your main drive pulley here at the gear case, and I want to go ahead and remove it. And to do so, we're going to use a 14mm socket. Yep, here we go. Let me go ahead and grab this ratchet here. And you're going to want to hold it firmly. Walk that nut off, that 14mm, and pull that pulley out of there really firmly. It's going to be really tight. Okay, cool. Let's keep moving forward. Okay, next up, here is your shift actuator, and you also have your clutch right here. What this does is it slides up and down, entering, like I said, agitation or spin mode. And I want to remove this first. We do have a pinch connection here. Lift it right out of there. And these shift actuators are pretty robust. They don't fail too often, but they can. And when that happens, go ahead and replace it with an OEM unit. 2 10mm bolts hold it in place. All right, cool. Almost there. Let me get that clutch out of the way. I want to talk about that here in a minute. Okay, there is your shift actuator. Like I said, pretty robust, but they can fail, and when it happens, just go ahead and replace it. Okay, next up is gonna be your actual clutch right here. Now, I want to talk about the splines at center. These splines can wear out, and what will happen is you'll have excessive play left and right. Click, 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 click. Or these teeth right here can also wear out. Just simply replace it with an OEM unit. I'm gonna put it back on. This one is nice and tight on the splines of the gear case. This one's very healthy. And you'll know when it's bad because you'll have excessive play left and right. And you also have a spring right here. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Next up, we have our drain pump. These drain pumps do fail on any washer, and they do fail on these washers. When that happens, simply replace it, or you might have a situation where you have something in there, like a little sock, jamming the drain pump or a coin. So you wanna remove it. To do so, you have a pinch connection right here. Squeeze it, lift it right out of there. Now you do have this little holder right here, and unfortunately when you have to replace the drain pump, just cut that right off carefully because the new one's gonna come with a new little holder. So we're gonna get in there and cut that right off. We're gonna go ahead and grab our 10mm socket, and we're gonna start working these 3 screws out of there to remove this drain pump. Oh look, there's our bezel. Okay. All right. One here at the bottom lastly. Go ahead, remove it. All right, just about there. Okay, now we also have a hose running to it with a clamp. Pliers, go ahead and grab that clamp. Boom. Get out of the way, wire harness. Okay, grab that clamp and walk that hose out of there. Carefully, don't cause damage to the hose. Okay, here we go. This is the drain pump. And like I said, you might find something jammed in here, or you might find something jammed inside. You might see a coin, a sock, you name it. Also, you may not find anything in there, but what you'll find is that the impeller inside has fallen off the shaft, or that it no longer spins anymore. When that happens, go ahead and replace it with an OEM unit. Okay, next up, we need to remove the gear case, and I'll tell you about why, the scenario. So like I had mentioned, when we have water leaks, that's because your seals had failed and they've probably damaged the bearings already. When that happens, we have to remove the gear case to install an OEM unit. To do so, if you see here, you have a wiring harness and a grounding strap right here. Let's go ahead and walk this off with a 10mm. You're gonna have a lot of 10mm here. And we also have holders to the gear case. Those need to be, unfortunately, cut off. And we have this mount here, 10mm. All right, cool. Let's keep moving forward. Pretty exciting stuff, fixing your own washer, learning how to do these things. Let's go through and cut this stuff off with the snip right here. Save yourself tons of money if you could do this yourself. All right. Boom. Let's keep going carefully. Don't cut the wiring harness. Be careful, because if you cut the wiring harness, you have to make that repair. Okay, cool. There we go. Now the wiring harness is out of the way, and we're gonna go through and remove several of these bolts all the way around. And like I said, you can use an impact driver. We're taking our sweet time, demonstrating to you guys how to remove this stuff. And you may not have an impact driver. You may only have a socket and a little ratchet. This is great. Let me tell you, it's a workout. Let me tell you, it is a workout. And this gear case right here looks really healthy. I don't see excessive oil leaks. I don't see water mixing with anything. And you would know right away because you have a light brown to dark brown coloring in this area. And that's how you know you're mixing water and oil and it's time to replace the gear case. You can find these readily available, OEM, no problem, at a pretty decent cost. So it is worth repairing this machine, in my opinion, if you do have this issue. Okay. Okay, we have some at the bottom as well. Just be patient. You'll remove it. All right. We are down to 3 more, I believe. Yep, here we go. Okay. Finally, we're down to our last one here on the left. Two-hand action right here, two-hand. We're speeding up the process. Okay, just about there. Gearcase is ready to come out. What you're gonna wanna do is possibly get a foot down to hold this right here. Firmly grab with 2 hands. We're gonna walk it out of there. Pull firmly. Here we go. Ta-da, there it is. There is your gear case. It is out of there. That's simple, folks. So you have your sill here at the top. You have your splines for your basket. Everything looks really healthy on this one. But if you have a bad gear case, like I said, you'll know oil contamination with water, worn out tub sill, worn out splines. When it happens, replace with an OEM gear case. All right, everybody, this is Gabe once again with Repair University. If you liked this video, please follow us for more content on new appliance parts, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. See you all next time. Thank you very much.